Okay, so I know it's a little late. We already have what a variable is. This is something you guys already know. It's a symbol or letter that takes the place of information we don't know. We're not quite in Module 2. We're kind of preparing for it. So, an expression. What do we think the difference, because I've already told you the definition. I've told it to you. I haven't written it down. I've already told you what the definition for an equation is. What's going to be the difference? And I'm not looking for a statement yet. I just want to know what's the difference between an expression and equation. Zane. What do you mean an equal sign? An expression does not have an equal sign. So I'm going to say this is a mathematical statement, and I'm going to put in parentheses, includes, or actually, let me try this again. This is why I love being on video, because it shows my mistakes. It can include variables, numbers, mathematical operations. The way it used to be. So I'm Sean, were you a big Boyz II Men fan?
Yes, I love Boyz.
I still love Boyz II Men. So, mathematical statement can include variables, numbers, mathematical operations, but has no equal sign. Okay? So an example of an expression can be as simple as this. 3 plus 5. It could be 3 parenthesis x plus 2 minus 7x. All of those are expressions, and by all of those I mean those two. The key with expressions, and I upset a lot of math teachers with this because I am very, very picky. You cannot, listen again, you cannot solve an expression. So if a teacher writes, solve this, and it's an expression, they are wrong. You cannot solve an expression. Expressions, I just spit a little bit, do. Expressions can only be simplified. Okay, expressions can only be simplified because at no point in an expression will we put an equal sign. So we are copying this down. I like the properties of also. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
So if it can't be simplified, you just ignore it?
Correct. So if I had, it's a great question. So Addie said, hey, if it can't be simplified, I'd leave it alone. This expression, x plus 5. I can't do anything to x plus 5 unless I know something else about it. X plus 5 is as simplified as it can be. It's done. Now, you'll learn that this one can be simplified. I will tell you that the simplification would be 3x plus 6. So that would be negative 4x plus 6. That's it simplified. You don't know how to do that yet. You will soon. Okay, you will soon, but that's simplified. But we're not there yet. One more thing as far as the basic terms. Oh man. You know what would be amazing? Having a camera, like a real camera rather than my phone, so that it actually did all this. I think that'd be pretty cool. So, but we got to deal with what we got to deal with. I told you yesterday what an equation was. What is an equation? I've already called on Sydney, I'm calling on Addie. Go ahead, Sydney, or Sophia.
An equation is a statement with
So, it's not going to be a statement this time. Not going to be a statement this time. It's going to be a mathematical sentence. Because when we read this, it's going to have a verb. Because equals is the same as saying is. So it's a mathematical sentence, or even better, it's an expression with an equal sign. So the way that I was taught about equations, it was two or more expressions with an equal sign. So that means it includes numbers, variables, mathematical operations, but then there's going to be an equal sign. So there's going to be two of them. It's going to be equal. Equations must be what? Tim, solved. So here's my first question. Is this an equation? Is x equals 1 an equation? Why or why not? Add. That's pretty much all you need to say. Yes, it has an equal sign. There's a variable, there's a number, so we don't have mathematical operations. Can include. That's why I switched that up. It can include. But x equals 1 is absolutely an equation. Questions, concerns on this? Okay. So, I'm going to erase this because I don't want to keep moving back and forth. Can we see all this? All right, I'm kind of... Okay. Are you looking at that camera, Levi? Levi, you are not a star yet, man. I'm the... Levi. Okay. Do we have variable and expression?
Yes.
My guess is there are some things that you may have heard from, may not have heard before. We are going to be talking about zero pairs coming up shortly. Okay? In Module 2, you will be hearing the term zero pair. Anybody know what a zero pair is? Perfect. I'm glad you don't. So, in order to get zero pairs, we need to learn some mathematical properties. And there are, just for 7th grade math, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that they think are worthwhile for you. We're probably not going to get through all 11 today. I will be talking about them throughout time, but we're not going to get through them all today. I'm going to hit upon the ones that I think are going to help the most for expressions and equations. Fair enough? Fair enough, Mr. H. Hey, thanks. So, we're going to start off with what's called the additive identity. Remember, these are all properties. Could I write additive identity property? Absolutely. Additive identity. So, what I'm going to do is I'm always going to put a symbol next to my property to make it make sense as far as this addition, is it multiplication, is it subtraction, is it division? So additive identity. What mathematical operation do you think we're going to be dealing with? And I should see a bunch of hands. Come on. Additive identity. Additive. Charlie. Addition. You're the man. So we are going to be adding something in the additive identity problem. So first, any number that gets added to, and then I'm going to put a blank, equals itself. Okay, so leave a blank. There's going to be a word there. So any number that gets added to blank equals itself. And here's going to be my example. Now, I'm going to start with numbers, but I'm also going to show it to you with variables. Let's say I've got 7 plus something equals 7. what do I have to add to 7 to get it to equal 7? I should see a lot of hands. I should see a lot of hands. I should see a lot of hands. Chris, 0. 7 plus 0 equals 7. So any number that gets added to 0 equals itself. Well, does it just have to be a natural number? Well, no. I could do 0 plus negative 3/5. So now I'm using a rational number. 0 plus a negative 3/5 will still equal what? I need hands. I need hands. Juliana. Very good. Negative 3/5. That is the additive identity property. Questions on that one? Now, you might see the additive identity property written as the identity property of addition. Okay? There's another way to say it, the identity property of addition. This is how true mathematicians are going to say it. The same way as this one is called the multiplicative identity property. The multiplicative identity property is multiplication. Remember, that dot for us means multiplication. Another way to say this is the identity property of multiplication. Any number that gets multiplied by blank equals itself. So any number that gets multiplied by something equals itself. So here's my example. Negative 22 multiplied by something equals negative 22. Come on, I need to see lots of hands. Come on, I need somebody new. Go ahead, Brennan.
1.
Yeah. If we multiply anything by 1, it will equal that anything. So it can be a negative, it could be positive, it could be a decimal. So I could have 1 multiplied by 3 and 74 hundredths equals 3 and 74 hundredths. Okay? Both of those are important. But when we start solving equations, there are 2 that are even more important. So make sure you have those copied down. I'm going to give you about 12 more seconds, mostly because I want to drink. So, these are the 2 most important because you will use these for almost every equation that you solve. Additive inverse property. Again, it could be the inverse property of addition, but it's the additive inverse property. Again, this means addition. Can we see this? Okay. I don't want to go into all this work, really work on my nice neat hands. Levi, you're not the star, Levi. Levi. No. Levi's like, I just want to be on camera. But then I couldn't post the video, Levi, and then it'd be bad, and then I have to do it again. Ugh. So additive inverse. This says any number added to its blank is 0. Any number added to its blank is 0. we are going to use this a lot. Negative 12 plus something equals 0. What would I have to add to negative 12 to equal 0? Say it louder, Ren. 12. Negative 12 plus 12 equals 0. So how would I write it up here? Any number added to its what? Go ahead, Tana. Its opposite is 0. So let's say I've got negative, actually let's say I've got 3/8 plus. What would I have to add to 3/8 in order to make it equal 0? I'm seeing a lot of hands. I'm seeing a lot of hands adding.
Negative
Good. And when I show, listen, when there's already a sign there and I'm putting a negative, I put it in parentheses. That's important to separate those signs. So it's 3/8 plus a negative 3/8 equals 0. And I'm putting a star next to this guy. Jason.
So it's like an integer.
Oh, so what do you mean by, I love that you just said that. It's like an integer. Well, these aren't integers. So what do you mean? I'm with you on what you're trying to understand, what you're trying to say, but tell me what you mean.
So if the natural number goes with whole numbers, then if it's, for the example, negative 12 plus 1 equals 0, you just do the opposite of it.
Yeah, you're just doing the opposite. Because remember how I said, hey, here's my number line, right? I'm at 0. Over here are my positives. My fingertips are 5. If I fold my number line together, where 5 is, the opposite, which is negative 5, will match up. Same thing. That's how we're getting it to be at the 0. We're folding it up, we're getting its opposites. So if I have negative 27/8, its opposite better be at the positive 27/8. Does that make sense? So like integers, it's those opposites. Very good. Okay? Last important one for the day, because we're running out of time quickly. Multiplicative. Inverse. So there's going to be a new word in here today. Any number multiplied by its reciprocal equals blank. So any number multiplied by its reciprocal equals something. The first question that I'm probably going to get from this is, what's a reciprocal? And that's how you sound. That's why I said it like that. Because I know that when you ask questions, that's what you sound like, right? Ms. Armstrong, is that right?
That's absolutely yes.
See, Ms. Armstrong agrees. So, no, too late. You're on video. Can go into the court of law now. Wonderful. Bam. So, let's start off with a whole number. 7. It's actually a natural number. The reciprocal is if this was a fraction, flipping the numerator and denominator. So, I'm going to multiply 7 by its reciprocal, which means flip the numerator and denominator. Well, what's the denominator in 7? Zane? 1. So what would be the reciprocal of 7 divided by 1? Sophia? Ah. Thank you. Perfect watch. That's not even right. Okay. So, 7 multiplied by 1/7. What is that going to equal? Go, Tana. If we multiply any number by its reciprocal, it equals 1. Now listen, I want to show a couple different ones with this, so please do not, even if the bell rings, we're getting close, do not leave. Let's say I've got negative 3/5. What am I going to multiply negative 3/5 by to get it to equal 1, Faith? No, that's not its reciprocal. That's its opposite. We want the reciprocal. Kaylin? Well, 5/3 is it's flipped. But that's not quite right. So the reason why I did this is if it starts off negative, to get it to equal a positive 1, the reciprocal stays negative. So if it's negative 3/5, its reciprocal is negative 5/3. Questions? Have a wonderful, safe Tuesday, folks.